was a cool day once again on Sodor. The engines were at the sheds when Sir Talton had arrived. As it is the 80th anniversary of the Reverend Audrey's books, it is also the 200th anniversary of the birth of rail transport. Sir Talton paused impressively. To mark the occasion, an engine will arrive later today to reenact the birth of not just Sodor's early days, but the birth of modern rail as we know it today. The engines were excited, and then Sir Talton held his hand for silence. As a result of this reenactment, all rail enthusiasts are forbidden to wander on the tracks. High security measures have been put in place so we won't have any disturbances. And Sir Talton left. All the engines wondered who the engine could possibly be, but Edward knew all too well who Sir Talton was referring to. Later that day, Edward was resting in a siding at Wellsworth when an unfamiliar whistle cut through the air. Puffing proudly towards the station was a vintage green tender engine. It had no side rods, a tongue funnel, and a sparkling brass dome. The engine smiled. "Ernest, it's been so long." "Ah, Edward, my old friend, it's incredible that time has passed, and so much has changed since my last rodeo." "Well, Ernest, there's so much that has happened. New destinations, bridges, tunnels, even other parts of the island that have been restored." Ernest smiled. "I look forward to the reenactment. Should I be myself or go into character like how I was when I was in my prime?" "Just be yourself, Ernest. I know for a time you and I were once the express engines of the line." "And that Gordon?" "He's doing fine, and still pulls the express to this very day." Ernest was looking forward to the reenactment, but did not take into account of who was watching them. The next day, Ernest coupled up to 3 old coaches. They were the very ones that were used in the early days of Sodor. Although retired, the coaches felt young again. Their coats sparkled in the sunshine. As the passengers boarded, the RailFan who was watching Ernest the other day drove off. Thinking nothing of it, the shutter fastened the coupling, the guard blew his whistle, and Ernest set off. The reenactment was spotless, almost up to perfection. The old engine nailed every cue, almost like a film production. Once the reenactment was complete, Ernest took the passengers back to Nafford. "Thunderbolt would be jealous if he were here," Ernest said chokingly. But then his face turned to horror as he saw the RailFan not giving a care in the world. He took photos at rapid succession. Ernest shut his eyes and applied his brakes. He and the train were able to stop just in time! The RailFan was shaking and didn't even mince a word. Ernest, however, was stern. "You could have been seriously injured or worse." The coaches twittered anxiously. "At least that Red Bellend is not pulling us. He's long gone!" Soon Gordon arrived with Sir Talton. He was cross. "You're lucky on the count of 2 things," said Sir Talton thunderingly. "First off, you deliberately trespass onto railway property to get photos of an engine on visitation purposes. Secondly, if you are not aware, there was a reenactment that took place. If you had disrupted the reenactment, then we would have more than just a conversation. And finally, as Ernest said to you, you're lucky that no one was hurt, especially Ernest's crew. There would have been severe confusion and severe delay." Sir turned his heel and walked away. Ernest resumed his journey back to Nafford. The crowd cheered in celebration as all the engines blew their whistles, horns, and bells, the loudest of them all being Edward the Blue Engine. The RailFan was banned from walking on railway property till he could be trusted again, and soon all was normal once more. However, one late evening, as Ernest was preparing to make his way back to the sheds, he spotted one of the coaches he had taken on the reenactment jury. "Hello there." "Hello." "Say, didn't one of you mention of another engine that used to take you and your siblings?" "Yes." "James takes good care of his coaches. Edward told me, and—" "No. No, Ernest, it wasn't James." "Then who was it then?" "But that's a story for another day."